Welcome to Wirtschaft TV. Joining me now is Patrick Young. He's a financial expert and he just flew in from London today. And of course we want to talk about the Brexit situation. What's the feeling when you walk through London? Are the people worried about the Brexit?
I think it's clearly something that's on everybody's minds, but frankly, the media, the general media around the world have got it completely out of control. I mean, there are not people rioting on the streets. There is not a sudden move towards anarchy in the UK, as it were, to echo the punk rock song. At the moment, people are concerned of what the future is going to bring. Obviously, London, where I've been this week, is somewhat different to most of the UK because it wasn't so strongly voting. In fact, it voted against a Brexit. But nonetheless, increasingly, there's a realisation that Britain needs to just get on with things. There's a political kerfuffle, but then that's going to happen. I mean, the government, the establishment parties, they all said a vote for Brexit will give us a disaster. There will be world war within days. I can assure you none of these things are happening at the moment in the UK. It's not quite as sunny as delightful Berlin at this juncture in time, but nonetheless, the Wimbledon Tennis Championships are going to carry on. They will reach their conclusion. The UK will continue to trade with the world. There is not a huge outflow of grief or problem as we've got through the week.
And the Queen said she is still alive. That's also a good sign for the British monarchy. When we see London, you know, it's an important, very important for the UK economy. Do you think it could lose some importance?
No, not in any way, shape or form. I mean, I think that's to fundamentally misunderstand the issue. The problem is, of course, obviously what the relationship is exactly going to be after Brexit with the European Union, which may yet take some time in negotiation, may yet be somewhat confusing. But what we've seen is, I mean, already the Prime Ministers of Australia and New Zealand are getting together to negotiate free trade agreements with the rest of the Anglosphere. There's a similar uptick of interest in Canada, our allies traditionally in the United States of America. While President Obama may not have been on the right side of history on this issue either, he is, well, a lame duck president at this juncture. What we're seeing is a large number of people in Congress and senators want to do business with the UK. Don't forget the United Kingdom. It's not just the fifth largest economy in the world, not quite as big as Germany, of course, but nonetheless a major world power economically. And indeed, you've got what? Something like $5 trillion worth of assets from the United States are actually held in the United Kingdom. That's a sign of Britain's great trading power. Britain is going to remain open for business. It's going to remain a country with an Anglo-Saxon legal system, which is very popular with people around the world. It has been at all points in time, even hundreds, if not thousands of years before anyone ever dreamt of a European Union, a nation which people could trust to do business with. The City of London, you know, that's the place where when it came to 1999 and people wanted to celebrate the year 2000, the City of London was the only financial centre in the world that could go back to its archives and see what it did last time. Therefore, I'm telling you, is this a situation where we're fundamentally going to see a massive outflow from London? No. Are things going to be different? Yes. Are the people of Britain still going to be buying their Audis and BMWs in the future? I very much think so.
You sound very optimistic, right? Don't you think there will be some issues and maybe in the future, for example, for young people that want to travel and they're maybe concerned that they can't travel anymore to other European countries than they were used to do? Do you think there will be some changes?
I don't think that's going to be a wholesale issue. I mean, first of all, let's face it. I mean, a lot of the things that people have been worried about students is something like the Erasmus programme. Well, I mean, as I think the Erasmus programme currently is running in 59 of the 27 or 28 nations of the European Union. So those sorts of things actually have grown with globalisation. Yes, the European Union has given us a great ability to move across borders quite effortlessly. But realistically, is the European Union going to cut off its nose and spite its face? Is it going to go to mutually assured destruction with the United Kingdom and say we're closing down the borders? Because as it does that, that's just going to improve the opportunity for, say, students to move towards Canada, Australia, the rest of the Anglosphere. The British Commonwealth, which remains a very, very powerful trading bloc and has grown exponentially in the course of the last 10, 15 years. And therein, you know, lies the nub. What is the opportunity we're looking at here? The opportunity very simply is, at the moment, the United Kingdom trades as much with Belgium, one smallish member of the 27 nations that are left in the rump of the EU, Trade with Belgium is as big as Britain's trade with Brazil, Russia, India and China combined. That strikes me as being a major opportunity, and in 10 years' time, I'm sure there are going to be lots of British students, British young people, who are going to be working in the insurance industry in Shanghai, in banking in China, and indeed around the rest of the world. The borders are still open. Let's not suggest that they have closed in any way.
Do you think the divorce is really coming, or is there maybe a way back?
Divorce is coming. I think there is a possibility that it could come back, but that would mean that the European Union has to fundamentally reform. And the difficulty is that, the British have been saying for a number of years that if the European Union doesn't reform, then they are going to leave. Now they've actually voted, which I think somewhat surprised the British political elite as much as it surprised the European political elite. There's a huge problem there because realistically, the European Union, the mandarins and bureaucrats at the top don't seem to understand how relatively disinterested the people of Europe are with their political scheme. If the European Union wants to turn the clock back and go towards being actually a free trade zone and engaging us in business and operating without the precautionary principle in a way that's not trying to stifle our ingenuity, then there's a great relationship going forward. The difficulty is there's been absolutely no evidence of that. And I think that's a tragedy, not just for Britain and the European Union per se, but actually for the European Union itself and the youth of Germany and indeed the rest of Europe, particularly those in the Mediterranean who've been beggared by the European Union in this lost decade of growth, which has been squandered by a European Union that doesn't want to solve its debt crisis, that built a euro that doesn't work, and has ultimately created another migration crisis, which actually looks remarkably like so many other problems that they've created over time.
Patrick Young, thank you so much. Appreciate your time, and thank you for watching Wirtschaft TV.